Hello, Maria. Hello, Caleb. I guess we could get started. Thanks so much for joining in. A very good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're based. And we have Angelica here. She's a data engineer. She's awesome. And she knows a lot of things in the world of AI. And now I'm going to shut up and pass on the stage to Angelica. Please take it away.
Shalini, are we going to wait exactly at 11? Because I know some people are going to tune in right at 11. Or do you want me to start?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know on my end I have 10:52. So do you want us to go ahead? Yeah, and hi, Maya and Caleb as well. Definitely drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. And I'm going to give it roughly about 3 or 4 minutes because I know some people are going to join in right at the top of the hour when the session is due to start.
They're still connecting to audio, so we could wait a little bit. I'm going to
Okay.
pause the recording.
Yep. Just go ahead and pause and then we can read.
All right. Hello, everyone. Once again, and I see that everyone's now joined in. You've connected to audio. That's great. Maya is also connected to audio. I'll welcome you once again and also introduce you briefly to Angelica. You're going to get to learn about her very well in the next 45 minutes. And she's very well versed in AI, and also she's an amazing data engineer. So now I'm gonna pass it on to you, Angelica, and let's have some fun and the data.
Yeah, and that's the key word here is to really have fun. So, welcome everybody to the session about how to empower your workforce as we have this AI revolution. So, per the introduction, my name is Angelica Jelly Spratley. Feel free to call me Jelly. Drop in the chat where you are calling from. I want a lot of engagement during this session. We want you to learn whether or not you are in a company and you're thinking about adopting an AI tool or technology, or you're new to AI, this is going to be beneficial for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So the agenda for today, we have a very dense agenda that is going to give us lots of knowledge. We are going to center around data literacy as well as AI literacy. So we are going to define data literacy, talk about some data around this new skill of data literacy. It's a very hot skill that should be on everybody's resume. We're going to talk about how to create a data literacy program within your organization. If you are currently not part of an organization, these are things to think about as you're interviewing. Does my company have great professional development around data literacy, or can I advocate for a data literate program? We're going to talk about how to overcome some of the barriers or constraints in designing one of these programs. Then we are going to couple data literacy with AI literacy, have a nice roadmap of alignment, talk about how you can become data literate as an individual, even if your organization does not offer a current data literacy program. And then we have a nice, fun quiz for everybody at the end. I say quiz lightly because it's not really a quiz. It's more like a fun questions. All right, so a little bit about me. I have a bachelor's in biology from North Carolina Central University. I am based out of North Carolina in the United States. I transitioned to become a high school engineering teacher where I taught computer science as well as electrical engineering. Love computer science so much that I decided to get a master's in data analytics, also from North Carolina State University. Throughout my professional career, I have served as a data consultant for pharmaceutical companies. So, companies that create drugs, doing data analysis for them. I also became a client manager doing data analysis for higher education universities based in the United States. And then now I'm currently a senior data science instructor at Flatiron School, as well as a data scientist and content creator. My hobbies are Disney, so I see some people are Paris, so you may have went to Disneyland Paris. I go to Disney World in the United States very often. I travel. I have a YouTube channel called Learning with Jelly, and I just recently decided to design nerd t-shirts. So those are a little bit about me. So now I want to get a lay of the audience. So we're going to do a lot of interaction in the chat. So how data literate would you consider yourself? And I want to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can use the emoji. So put up the emoji of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Never heard of data literacy, heard of it, but have no clue how to become data literate. You have basic data literacy. You feel like you have a solid foundation, or you're advanced. All right, so I see a lot of ones, which is awesome. A couple of twos and a 3. Great. So you may have heard of it. Even if you've never heard of data literacy, we're going to talk about it today. Now, for those who are employed or have been employed before, how often would you say your company uses data for decision making? And if you're currently not employed, how often do you think an organization should use data for decision making? Once again, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Use data for little to no decisions, use data for some, use data for almost all decisions, or use data in only select departments. Yeah, so I see a lot of 2s and 3s, which is great. And some of that may be how often they should be using data, but it's great to use data in almost all decisions within your organizations. But we see a lot of 4s where people think the IT department, or because you're a data scientist or you're a tech professional, that you're the only ones that's supposed to use data. That is not true. Down to office assistants to janitors, everybody needs to know how to use data. So let's start with actually defining what data is. Data, put simply, is just information that you have. And it can be quantitative or qualitative data. Quantitative meaning numbers. So maybe there's numbers about how many likes you get on a post, numbers around how many employees stay at your organization, numbers when you're watching sports and you're looking at the stats of your favorite soccer or basketball player. All of that is data, and it's quantifiable data using numbers. Then there's qualitative data, which is descriptive information, information about reviews when you're looking at that new shirt or that new car to buy online, or restaurant reviews. There's also survey response data. So all of this is information that we can use to empower our decision making. So now that we know what data is, what is data literacy? And that is simply the ability to read, understand, and communicate this information that you have available to you. It can involve understanding data sources, so where the data comes from. So when you're reading a news article, who actually wrote that article? It can come as data processing. How is data actually transformed? In the ability to draw meaningful insights from data. But most importantly, I want to define data literacy as the ability to ask questions about the information presented to you and evaluate its credibility. Is this information actually reliable? Is it credible? What information can I give others? Can I ask questions about where did this data come from? How was this data manipulated before it came to me? Where does my data actually go when I'm on the internet? Can I understand terms and conditions? All of this encompasses data literacy. So data literacy as a skill is growing. So this wouldn't be a talk about data literacy without data behind data literacy, right? So we need some data. So by 2025, the World Economic Forum predicts that data literacy will be the top 3 job skills across all industries. So no matter if you're retail, finance, healthcare, education, sports, this will be one of the top 3 job skills that employers are looking for on their resume. And Gartner is an organization that does a lot of these studies. They found that organizations treat data as an asset, prioritize data literacy, and see a 23% increase in organizational performance. So just having this skill of data literacy can increase the performance of the organization by roughly 23%. So we have some more data, and this is coming from the DataCamp's Data and AI Literacy Report, which if you haven't heard of DataCamp, highly recommend that you look them up. They have a lot of self-paced courses to teach you technical skills, leadership skills, AI skills, and more. So in this visual, they asked two questions in this survey. Once again, we're looking at information, we're looking at data. And in this case, one was, in the past 5 years, what skills have grown most for your team or department? And you see that data literacy as a skill here has grown roughly 40% in the last 5 years in the workforce. And then it says, in the past 5 years, what skills have grown most important for your team? And we also see that having basic data literacy in 2023 to 2024 has grown by 10%. So just in 1 year, having data literacy in the job, in the workforce, has grown by 10%. So who needs to be data literate? And if I haven't stressed this enough so far, the answer is everyone. The entire company's ecosystem, from the front lines to senior leadership, to the clients that you serve or the consumers that purchase your service and product, everyone can benefit from data literacy, not just technical professionals. So how can an organization start creating a data literate program where everyone in your company would benefit from? And I'm going to break it down in 4 steps. And these steps were taken for dataversity.net. So step 1, we always need to know where we're starting at. So conduct a baseline data literacy assessment for your company. It's just like if you're trying to do a workout plan, you're going to get your baseline. Where are you currently at and where do you want to be? So before you even create a program, you need to gather data. You need to assess where your company currently is, and you can do this by using focus groups, interviews, by interviewing the front lines, everybody at different levels in the organization, analyzing the existing data you have, and more. It's best to do a holistic baseline assessment. And what we mean by holistic is involving everyone, stakeholders, people on the board, managers, employees, so that we really understand what the baseline data literacy is at our organization. And these are some questions taken from dataliteracy.com. They are an organization that helps organizations build out data literacy programs. And we can ask these questions of, how well do we actually incorporate data into the value we provide to our stakeholders? What is the purpose? Are we ethically using data for good use? Do we have high quality data available across all teams? So for some of us who have worked in certain organizations, you may have needed data for a certain report, or you may have asked, is there documentation somewhere? And so in this case, you need to know what data is available and how long does it take to actually acquire that data. The technology, do we have the right tools to leverage the data that we have? Or is data stuck in spreadsheets somewhere? Or can we have those spreadsheets feed into a BI tool such as Power BI or Looker or Tableau to really give us some immediate insights to our data? Do employees or the people in our company, do they have buy-in or the necessary knowledge and attitude to actually become data literate? What are some processes that we have? And what is the culture that we currently have? And how can we promote and reward a data literate culture within our organization? So step 2 is going to be design an effective data literacy program. So once you have established the baseline, now we can get into the designing phase. So decide on the resources that you have available. For a lot of companies, people and money is going to be main constraints. And I'm going to talk about how to overcome those constraints when designing data literacy program. You want to clearly state what skills and knowledge employees should gain from this program. So what is the end goal? What are the learning objectives of this data literacy program? You want to tailor content to different roles. So people in the finance department may have a different program than HR, which in turn may have a different program than IT. So make sure that the data literacy program is specific and differentiated across departments. Everyone loves hands-on and engagement. So the more engaging your program can be, the more hands-on your programs can be, the better. And we want to use a variety of methods to tailor to different learning styles or preferences, whether or not it's a mentoring program, a leaderboard where you guys are competing against each other to win badges, workshops, videos, etc. Step 3. So now we have a baseline. We have designed the program. Now we need to implement it. And the only way to implement this program is that we have buy-in from people, especially senior leadership and management support, to really encourage and develop a data literate culture amongst their teams. Have established metrics of success. So your metrics could be employment engagement and data initiatives, customer satisfaction, improvements in decision making, and so forth. But you really need to be able to quantify the impact of this program. So having key performance indicators, KPIs, that really align with your business strategy and your mission is very, very important. If you would like to pilot out a data literate program on a diverse set of employees to gain feedback before you launch it company-wide, that is also an option. And make sure that whatever program you choose, you incentivize participation in some way, whether it is Employee of the Month or a yearly annual award, badges, leaderboards, whether it is an Amazon gift card, whatever it may be, employees are more likely to take part if you incentivize participation in some ways. So these are possible metrics that you can try to quantify from your data literacy program. And once again, this is taken from that same literacy report from Data Camp. But what value do data literate employees provide over those with insufficient data skills? And this is the value on the right-hand side of the screen. They have more accuracy in decision making. They can make decisions faster. Innovation improves. Customer experiences improve. Higher retention rates, employee engagement, and so forth. So if you can take one of these metrics and quantify this from before you had a data literate program to after one was implemented, that will give you some idea about how successful that data literacy program was for your organization. So step 4, evaluate the program's effectiveness and get feedback. Feedback is so, so important. A lot of us do not like feedback, but it is definitely necessary. So collect feedback from your participants, whether it's an anonymous survey, whether it is an open forum where they are free without retaliation to really express their experiences about the data literacy program, and really analyze if program objectives were met, and make sure we're revising this program for future launches if needed. So this should be a very iterative process. The same data literacy program that you have today may look different 6 months down the road, a year down the road, so forth and so forth. Now, how can we overcome these top 2 constraints that I talked about? A lot of organizations cannot implement data literate programs for budget concerns or because of people buy-in. So let's talk about these 2 main constraints. And I talk about these constraints a lot with one of my colleagues and friends who is also a chief data officer that I see in the audience today, Joyce Myers. We definitely have conversations about constraints. So try to overcome these hurdles so that we can have all of our employees as data literate as possible. So for a limited budget constraint, let's go back to this SMART acronym. And this is a different SMART acronym than what you have seen, where you have specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. And you may have heard that when you're doing goal setting. You need to have a specific goal, you need to be able to measure it, it needs to be realistic, and it needs to be time bound. But now this SMART acronym is how to overcome the constraint when you don't have enough money to actually implement a real sophisticated data literate program. So S stands for strategic selection. So you want to prioritize training for certain roles, let them have that training first. That's going to have the greatest impact on data utilization and KPIs. M stands for micro learning modules. So don't overwater the plant. Break down these complex topics into bite-sized chunks and have these engaging modules that employees can do on their own time. A, accessible resources. So there are some free online courses, tutorials, and webinars that you can glean from. Make sure that the sources are credible and it actually fits your company goals. R, repurpose existing content. So can you convert an internal report or a case study or internal data / success stories into training materials, either through a lunch and learn or department meetings that can really benefit employees? T, tap into champions. And I love this. There may be more employees than you think that really, really love data. They either love making data visualizations, they love talking about data, they track the data on their smartwatch every time they go for a run. They're really passionate about data. So empower them to mentor colleagues. Now, how to overcome this people buy-in constraint? And I like to use this CLIMB acronym that I thought of. C is connected to current challenges. So frame data literacy in a way where it addresses employees' challenges and it will make their job in life a lot easier. So if employees look at data literacy and AI as making their life easier, they are more likely to buy into it. So connect it with the current challenges of the organization. L, which was similar to the previous acronym, let's leverage those local champions. Identify and empower employees who are enthusiastic about data, are data literate, and get them to share their stories and provide mentorship. And of course, if you can incentivize them for providing mentorship, all the better. I, illustrate impact with real world examples. So use real world examples, preferably from your company, where data literacy led to positive outcomes. And that we can meet those KPIs. And if your employees are meeting those KPIs, this in turn can lead to bonuses and rewards for them. M, make it measurable. Set clear goals and metrics to track the impact of your program and report out on these metrics. Don't hold the data close to the chest. Free the data so that everybody in the organization knows how the company is performing. And that way they can be more on board about data literacy. And last but not least, B, but one of the most important, build that culture. Foster a culture where employees feel like they can learn, they can experiment with the data, encourage them to ask questions, share ideas, even create a little sandbox environment where they can play around with company data and celebrate data-driven decision making. So now we have these 4 steps of how we can actually implement a program. Step 1, get a baseline assessment of where you're at. Step 2, design the program. Step 3, implement the program. And step 4, get feedback. And we talked about how we can overcome the constraints of having limited resources, such as money, and getting people buy-in. But now let's talk about how data literacy actually pairs with AI literacy. A lot of us have been on this AI wave. It has really ramped up since 2022, where everybody's talking about Chat GPT. They're talking about Gemini. They're talking about they can build their face and take their face and turn it into a video, this image to video cool technology that one of my colleagues, Dr. Yuona, actually utilizes that I see in the audience. So everybody is talking about AI literacy. So data literacy is the foundation layer of AI literacy in adopting AI within your organization, because data skills translate to AI skills. So if you know how to take this information, analyze it, ask questions about it, then you're able to work with AI more effectively. Data literacy also helps you make informed decisions. So employees who understand data better can evaluate recommendations from AI tools. So you shouldn't take AI generated output at face value. If you are data literate, you know when Chat GPT is BSing you, for lack of better words, and you know when Chat GPT is giving you some real good fruit. Data fluency builds trust in AI. A lot of people that have mistrust in AI, they have seen films where robots are taking over and they don't trust it. But if you are data literate, it helps you understand data limitation and biases, and you can approach AI with a healthy level of skepticism, besides following what you see on the media. And data literacy also creates a foundation for future growth. As AI is evolving, a data literate workforce will help you leverage new AI tools and technologies so that you remain competitive in the market. And we all want to remain competitive in the market. So now, how can we really simply put, have a roadmap from becoming data literate within our organization, fostering an AI culture, all while remaining competitive? And these are three separate phases of how we can align that business strategy with the data literacy and actually adopt these AI tools within our organization. So, phase one, I like to call assess and align, roughly 1 to 2 months. One is identify your business strategy and do your SWOT analysis. For those that are in business, SWOTs is strength, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. I always forget the O. Opportunities, right? So really think about your business strategy. Number two, the data landscape assessment. Where is your data currently at? Evaluate the data infrastructure, how you're currently collecting your data, and how accessible the data is across departments. Does Jelly have to email 5 people before she gets that spreadsheet? Really evaluate this across every department and also identify any silos. Is the IT department kind of working on their own and keeping all of the data close to their chest? You really want to assess this. Step 3 is a skills gap analysis. So you want to assess the workforce data literacy. So through surveys, through open forums, see how data literate employees feel that they are. And then step number 4, align data and AI with strategy. The business strategy should align with the data and AI strategy. Data and AI should be feeding back into the business objectives. So identify areas where AI can improve efficiency, innovation, customer experience, and other KPIs. Whether that is automating a marketing campaign, automating emails so that you respond to your clients quicker, whatever it may be, make sure that the AI strategy is aligning with the business strategy. Phase 2, I like to call this build a foundation, roughly 3 to 6 months. So develop your data literacy program. And as we already mentioned, make sure that program is tailored to different employee roles and skill level and make it engaging. Give those hands-on practices. Step 2, invest in data infrastructure. Now everybody has big data. There's no more like, oh, big data is on the way. Nope. If you're a company, you exist, everyone has big data. We have data in Alexa. We have data in traffic lights. We have data from our customers. We have data from our employees. So really figure out a budget and the labor needed to have an infrastructure that stores your data, make it secure, scales it out, and can be assessed by the appropriate individuals in your organization. In step 3, pilot out AI implementation. So start with a specific business challenge. So if you haven't gotten a theme throughout this presentation, you need to measure it. You need to have data to measure this performance. So take a specific business challenge, align it with your strategy, and pilot out internally as an AI project. So if that is automating emails, automating a marketing campaign, creating generated content, whatever it may be, focus on one specific challenge and see how that works. And then the last phase is scale and integrate. So you're going to want to expand your data literacy training So if the pilot works well, great. If it didn't, also great. Fail fast, learn faster. Okay, so continuously improve on your data literacy program based on feedback and ongoing needs of your organization, and establish a data-driven decision-making culture. Step 2, scale AI adoption. So once you evaluate that pilot, explore more opportunities. So now you have automated emails. Are there other opportunities for you to create a brand kit using AI? Are there other opportunities where you can build a chat bot to respond to customer inquiries? So expand it across other departments for other business functions. In step 3, promote collaboration and innovation. Make sure that we are collaborating across departments. Make sure we have diversity of thought, diverse teams, and a culture where we can actually experiment and explore new AI tools as they come out. So that was a mouthful, right? And we talked a lot about how we could do data literacy programs within an organization. But you may say, Jelly, I'm not currently in an organization. I work for myself. I may be a student. How can I become data literate and obtain one of these top 3 skills that I'm going to need to put on my resume? And here are 5 steps for you to enhance your own data literacy skill as an individual. So step 1, just enhance your curiosity. Be that 5-year-old kid that's why. Ask why about the data you encounter. Why are we looking at this data? Where did the data come from? How did we obtain the data? Who gave me the data? So start with those basic questions. Be very curious about data that you experience, whether it's data that you're looking at when you're going grocery shopping and you're reading the nutrition labels, whether it's data where you're looking at the reviews of a pizza place in New York. Why are people actually reviewing this restaurant? Did the person who make this review get paid by the restaurant, or is it an honest review? Does this review actually match up the 5-star rating? Because the review just said the data was good, but they gave them 5 stars. Okay, so enhance curiosity. Learn data lingo. Don't be that person in a meeting and someone is saying, hey, where our budget has really correlated with the profits that we see in Q3. You're like, what is correlation? Okay, so really understand these terms like correlation, mean, percentiles, this basic data lingo that you should have. Understand visuals. So when you see a visual, is this visual created properly? Is it being misused because it's trying to tell a misleading story? What is the story behind the bar chart that you see? What is the story behind the line chart that you see? Really try to understand and use visuals more. Find data in your own world. So look for data in your daily life. Look at your grocery receipts. Look at your workout routine. Look at how you're planning your next trip. Look at data in your own life and gather insights. And become a data advocate. The more that you learn about data, advocate for others to use it, share your learnings on LinkedIn or in the Ripple community, whatever. Become this data advocate and data steward. So now, last but not least, let's test our data literacy skills. So this is where you're going to engage in the chat. And I promise you, these are not super, super hard questions, but I want to see some participation. So visuals, scenario 1, chat blast. Identify what is wrong with this chart. And this chart is pet ownership by type. And we have dogs, birds, and cats. But how can this chart be misleading, or what's wrong with it? I want to see some responses in the chat. Give you a few seconds to think. Oh, Leanna said cannot distinguish based on size. Thankfully, there are percentage. So the 50%, 30%, and 40% chunks look all the same. Yeah. Little hint, add up the numbers in your mind real quick. Yes, Leanna got it. Does not add up to 100%. The whole, yes, awesome. The whole does not add up to 100%. So this is not an accurate pie chart. So when you see this, pie chart or even a bar chart that may have percentages and you know it's supposed to add up to 100%, it really could be misleading. If you're looking at visuals, does the axis actually start at 0? These are things that we want to look for in order to enhance our data literacy skills. Yeah, Caleb, 100% cannot make up. Now, more qualitative data, chat blast again. How can this survey question lead to biased answers or results? So your company sends out a survey to you and says, do you like our new employee PTO policy? What could be wrong with how this question is framed? This one is pretty tough. Okay, if this was not anonymous, you could lead to retaliation. You're using a leading word. You're not letting them make their own opinion. So this is yes, presuming that we already like it. So someone would be forced to just answer yes because you're leading them to answer yes, right? So this is not really a great framed question to really understand, do employees really like the PTO policy? All right. So scenario, this was supposed to be 3, but news headline, headline 1 or 2. So 50% chance to get this right. Headline 1, which one is misleading? Social media use causes a 50% drop in IQ, according to a shocking new study. Headline 2, large study finds link between social media use and increased depression in teenagers. Which one do we think most likely is a fake article? 1 or 2, and why? Caleb says 1. Leanna says 1. 1 from Maya. Why do we think 1? I mean, I'm pretty sure that social media can drop my IQ by like half. Because every time I scroll on TikTok or YouTube, I may become like dumber. No basis for the study. It seems like it's clickbait. Yeah, so we have a lot of this going on. 50%, so we really want to be, when we're becoming data literate, see if we can pick out fake or misleading data. All right, so that was our conclusion. Nice little fun quiz at the end. Thank you so much. Wavemakers is going to drop a link to my LinkedIn if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you are interested in learning more about data, I have an educational YouTube channel where you can learn data skills for free. It is very fun, so come join me on YouTube. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen and take any questions. Feel free to drop questions in the chat. You're welcome, Yasmin. And thank you all for some great engagement. Awesome. Thank you, Joyce. Daniel, Yuona, Maya, Caleb, Jessica, Martha, Sitham, Yasmin, Yash, all of you, amazing.
I have a question if there's time.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm actually walking home, so I'll just speak my question. I'm wondering, kind of going back to the starting phase of the data world of like finding those KPIs and finding what to measure. Do you have any tips on how to do that? And the reason I'm asking is I'm an internal community manager, so I work with employees at a large company, and I look to track the success of my work, and things like how many people show up to my calls, a quick survey, was this helpful, was it unhelpful for your work, are some data points that I use, but I don't think it really gets to the root cause of the effectiveness of what I'm doing. I'm wondering if you have any resources on creating new data points.
Yeah, that is such a great question because every business is very different, right? We have different KPIs that we want to measure. The first thing that I would say in asking yourself, is the data that you're looking at effective? What company goal or strategic mission are those metrics actually filtering into? So if you have a company measurable goal that we want to increase customer satisfaction by 20%, and you are actually asking at the end of your calls, were you satisfied or dissatisfied with my service? You are collecting the right piece of information. However, if that is not a company goal, and this comes from leadership that they really want to track or measure, then maybe you're asking the wrong question. If the company goal is how quickly you can service clients, so can you take a 30-minute call and bring it down to 15 minutes? And you are able to do that because you're able to see more clients, then that would be data that you would want to track. So just make sure that it always aligns to your business initiatives and your strategic company goals. I also like to think of KPIs as keep people informed. So try to brainstorm different ways that you can do KPIs and recommend some of the KPIs to your manager as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll just show myself. You're so right. And I think I just had a session yesterday on company priorities. That was new information to me. So I need to do sort of that trickling down to get to the root goal and KPI. So thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
And your passion. I love the passion on the topic. It makes all of us want to do more with data.
Thank you so much. You're absolutely welcome. And I have the same experience. When I come into a new organization, I'm like, what do I need to track? How can I monitor my performance? How can I evaluate myself for my performance evaluation at the beginning of the year? And it all goes down to asking your manager, what are the company goals? So that way you can track yourself against company goals.
Angelica, there's like a few questions
Yeah, I see
in
from
here.
Jessica. Do you have any
Yeah.
tips for educating up to management? Ooh, so it takes a team. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Most of the time when you have a bottom up approach, your one voice won't make it up to management. It just won't. So if you find other passionate people on your team that's like, hey, we really need some transparency around the data that we have. We really want to band together and relay our challenges with getting data on time, getting the appropriate data that we need to management. 1 is better than 2, 2 is better than 3. So I really would say, really write out your challenges that you have within your team, write out where you want to go, and then research resources that can get you there. So if you feel like your team needs Tableau or a BI tool so you can quickly visually look at your data, and if you adopt that tool, it can increase engagement or performance by 20%. The more data you have and the more data you give management, the more likely they are to buy into it, especially once again, if it feeds into the company and business goals and strategic plan. Is there a course one should learn to become on a resume? There's tons of courses. There is a data literacy track that I mentioned on Data Camp. That course, they may have a free trial, who knows, but Data Camp tends to be more affordable. I'm sure if you go on LinkedIn, especially on my YouTube, I have a podcast where me and Dr. Yuona, who is on this call now, talk about how to become data literate. So really do a quick internet search about data literacy course. LinkedIn Learning has some good ones. Coursera has some good ones, etc. But yes, I definitely love Data Camp, edX, places like that. How can you show that you are data literate? By working with data. So really, if you have data about yourself, so just start recording data. Today, I went out and I spent this much at the grocery store. And track your spending across 14 days. Take that spreadsheet and make some visuals. And then give some insights about what those visuals are telling you about your spending habits. So you really can start with data about yourself. Or you could go online, things like Driven Data, Kaggle, get a data set, and really start to analyze what the data is talking about. Okay, I think I've answered all of the questions that I saw in the chat. Did I miss anyone, Shalini?
No, I think we're good. And we're gonna be here if you have any more questions. But of course, feel free to also connect with Angelica on LinkedIn. And you can also always message her on the Ripple channel itself so she can continue to answer your questions and connect with you there. And Angelica, thanks once again for this amazing talk. You brought so much great energy, and you also like taught us so much about data and got us excited about this topic. So thank you so much.
Excitement, that's the key. Hopefully we feel excited or empowered to use data. Data is everywhere, and you all are absolutely welcome. Feel free to drop on or stay on to ask me any questions, but I will be in the Ripple community throughout the day to answer any questions that may come up.
All right, guys. Now I think it's time for us to jump to the next one that's coming up on the track 3. So we'll see you there. But thanks so much for tuning in.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.